Okay, let's continue in appreciation. I just left off last time mentioning Dr. Dean Ornish, University of California, San Francisco. He's expert in health and nutrition. He says, regarding appreciation, no other factor in medicine, not diet, not exercise, not genetics, not drugs, not surgery, has a greater positive impact on quality of life and reduction of disease. Isn't this amazing? By the way, we're going to look later at the flip side of this, which is anger, which stimulates all these things the wrong way. So is gratitude a choice? Can you choose the mindset that you live? Can you choose to see things as half empty or half full? Of course you can. So we're going to go back to this expression, where attention goes, power flows. You're going to stand up and speak what you're grateful about. Please do not express appreciation for an individual. That's step 2. Let's go sequentially through your groups and say, I'm grateful for, and for example, the opportunity to work with people as motivated and dedicated as you. By the way, one of the more interesting experiences I had with this was recently in Germany. And the guy came up to me and he said, you put us in this group and started doing this. And I was like the third person. And I said to myself, there's absolutely no way I can do this. After I heard 2 other people do it, it was no problem. Same with appreciation. Now we're going to appreciate. And I want you to pay attention to the process. Stand up. For anything important, you want to stand up. If they're in the room, you look them in the eye. Then you speak directly to them, as in, person, I appreciate you for being the wonderful force in my life, for helping me out, for being there for me, on and on. If they're not present, tell the group what you appreciate about the person. The process completes when they look you in the eye and say, thank you. And if they're not present, you will simply finish with, and I'll tell them as soon as I see them. So here's the process. Everybody stand. Get ready to appreciate. Complete the process. And after each person finishes, let's give them a little encouragement with some applause. This is a little glad group stimulant for them to help them out. I thought I'd show you at least one of the criteria we use in the assessments to measure. This is the standard for appreciation, that you do it habitually. Habits are our personal bureaucracy. Authentically, that comes from the mindset of gratitude. It has to be prompt, proportional, and specific. I did a workshop some years ago for a fellow that I was also consulting for, and I did a shadow thing for him one time. I followed him around for 2 days, and I watched him. Everybody that came in his office, when they left, he said, good job. So I'm there with his team in the workshop, and I said, what do you people think when Pete says that? And they said, we hate it. And he went, what? I said, yeah, it's so rote. We hate it. So follow the HAP standard. A friend of mine was in the FBI. He went up to the World Trade Center right after the 9/11 attack. And when he came back, I said, what did you learn? He said this: many words were spoken into the ears of the dead that they yearned to have heard while they were alive. Many words were spoken into the ears of the dead that they yearned to have heard while they were alive. So here's your action item for tonight when you go home. Go appreciate somebody that you care about in your life. And if they're not physically with you, call them on the phone and begin this habit. Don't wait until it's too late. I want to talk about the work results of appreciation. This is way beyond just feeling better. My first client was Ernst & Young, and the lady who hired me in 1995 said, I've got a horrible situation with the firm. The accounting firm is closing down. It's consolidating. People are buying each other out. The opportunities for a partner aren't there anymore. The new people are saying they don't want to go work 70 hours or 80 hours a week to become a partner because the opportunities are gone. And I really need your help to change the culture in the Denver office. This she approached me after I'd done a 3-day workshop for her and the partners. So what I like to do is let people discover for themselves what they need using a brainstorming technique, or what's called in the trade a nominal group technique. So the really important part of this process is to get the question exactly right. So I worked real hard to get the question, what is it that we most need in the Denver office of Ernst & Young's culture? We went through the process. In those days, I used Post-it notes. Today, I have a better method. And the partners in the firm didn't like me much. They were sort of at war with the CEO that hired me. And when we got through, the thing that they needed most was appreciation. And the partners said, you rigged it somehow. That people don't want that. And I said, okay, fine. Tell you what, you can go count the Post-its on the floor that I've measured and used, and feel free to do it yourself. And I'll take everybody else. We'll go over to Starbucks for coffee. So these partners, there were 7 of them, and with their $500,000, $600,000 a year salaries and their Brooks Brothers suits and their fancy Italian shoes, got down on their hands and knees and picked up these hundreds of things and started counting them. So we went away. So I came back, and they were looking all glum. And they said, yeah, no, you did it right. It's what we most want is appreciation. Now, I knew this before I did it, because think about the culture of accounting firm. What color is it? It's clearly orange. And on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably an 11. And remember, the dynamic is that if you extend one of the segments of the culture too far into the orange, what you do is you impoverish it with the diagonal, which is green. So I knew this, but I also knew that I couldn't tell them this. They had to discover it for themselves. The second thing is, when you do an intervention like this and some work, you've got to be very careful that you do something that fits the culture. So many people that do kind of work I do around appreciation would say, you know, you're going to have to do it in person. You're going to have to give people hugs. Maybe some sillier things like, why don't you put dogs in the foyer? People can pet them when they come in the morning and uplift them. That's not going to work in an accounting firm. So I worked with the HR director about a system that would be orange to stimulate green. What we came up with was a form with carbon. It's called an NCR form, but it's just a form with multiple layers of carbon copies. So whenever you appreciated someone, you recorded on the form who you appreciated, what you appreciated them for, and who you were. Then you gave one of the forms to the person when you appreciated them. You put the second one in to personnel, put in their personnel file. The third one, the personnel, to put in your personnel file, these Post-its. So I got the head of the company to agree that they would tie a small part of the bonus, the annual bonus, to participation in the appreciation system, either as a person being appreciated or a person doing the appreciation. Well, within a month, the HR director called me and said, Charlie, the difference in this building is palpable. It feels completely different when you walk in the door. This has been amazing. Then meanwhile, 6 months later, the CEO called me up and said, you won't believe this, but we've moved from being the least profitable firm west of the Mississippi, and by the way, this is a gigantic company with thousands and thousands of employees, to being the most profitable. And it was the work with you, the workshop and the appreciation system that did this. So I lost track of the lady. I was very fond of her, but she got promoted soon after and went and did other things. When I wrote in my book, because she was my first client and such a powerful stimulant for me in taking the business forward, I Googled on her and found out that she had taken an early retirement and saved money and made a lot of money and moved back to Boulder. So I called her up, went out to lunch, and she told me that after the work with the workshop and the appreciation system, that her life changed, her professional life and personal life changed. She became a very, very senior executive and also became head of the Kansas City Federal Reserve, which is a very big deal. And she laughed and said, even Alan Greenspan had to ask me permission if he wanted to speak in our meetings. And she said, "This is all because of what you taught me." Now, I don't believe that, but it was nice that she said it. So the point here is appreciation is not just about health and aliveness. It's also about business results. So now the participants take a little quiet time and decide what they're going to do, actions back at work. You know, if we don't carry actions out, we haven't done the work correctly. I'd like to talk to one or two of these. It's the AMBER system. And how about appreciating yourself? What can you do there? And this one, sharing expresses appreciation experiences at a staff meeting. And then a daily log about what you're grateful for. These are all wonderful things to do. And I want to go back to this one up here, which is really important. Collect your team's accomplishments and celebrate them. You know, the way the human mind works, we tend to be so problem-oriented, especially technical people, that we don't do this. So way back when I was running the astrophysics division, I would assign the youngest person, the newest person in the division every year to go around and talk to people and collect up what had been accomplished. Then we'd have put those into a view graph, PowerPoint, and then we'd have a pizza party and talk about it. And I did this right before my annual performance appraisal. So when I went to see my boss about what had been accomplished during the year, I laid down this 10-page document and said, here's what the team did. And this got me all kinds of awards and recognition because no one else was thinking that way. And then this will feel good totally. So we have our takeaway slide, an opportunity to summarize, and an opportunity for Q&A. And that completes appreciation. Next up is shared interest. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.